I'll kill you. It's on the record.
We played 1 minute of The Office.
The intro.
All right, it is 9 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order. Can I get an opening roll call?
Yep. Logan.
Here.
Travis.
Here.
Khalil. Nope. Paul.
Here.
Bobby. Crystal.
Here.
Jared.
Here.
Cassandra. Austin.
Here.
Luke.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Chapter.
Yeah.
Anita.
Here.
Do we have one?
Yes.
Okay. Old business is recognized by the chief of staff.
No.
Okay. Reading of agenda. Okay, so for last week's meeting minutes, today's special procedures, voting on previously proceeded legislation, hearing presentation of those in attendance, those speakers.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get there. So pause something. Finance here. Scheduled speakers. Phoenix Cultural is presenting tonight. Travis on SGA desk. Issues to resolve. There are none. Introduce new amendments. There are none. Introduce new legislation. There is none. Legislative committee status reports. Determine next Senate meeting and public comment.
Can I table real quickly? I don't think we did enough to announce that the room is being changed. I don't know. I mean, we don't have enough of the student body right now. I don't think they knew. Just
Other. Okay. Let's see. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to sit outside? I guess. I mean, it was on 25 Live. I know this is a new room, but
it's our backup room.
yeah, it's been So I think it should be fine. They'll probably scour all of the room for us working at 25. Is there any motion to approve tonight's agenda as it stands?
To approve tonight's agenda.
Seconded.
Motion has been properly made by Paul. Yeah, and seconded by Ryan to approve tonight's agenda as it stands. Is there any amendments before the vote? Seeing none, barring any for a simple majority vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, moving on. Approve last week's meeting minutes. Is there any issues with last week's meeting minutes?
Yes. It just was the convention for your reporting of votes, or the change on the last one, and I believe it's well, not the last one, but the vote on the live streaming vote.
Oh yeah.
It's 4 to 6, which I believe that is the correct convention.
Okay.
So it's the others that are the ones that should be corrected, but it just changed. So I just want to bring that up.
Thank you.
Trying to pull it up to show. So what he is referencing is the way that we do it is it's for/against. So for this motion here, flow motions to approve InterVarsity, that vote was passed with 8 people yes, 2 people no. So it should be 8-2.
Gotcha.
And as we can see down here, you do have it correct. 4-6 was that was.
Okay.
We can just get those changes. Is there any other issues with the minutes? Yes.
I talked to Paul about, like, it was not about last meeting minutes, but
Okay.
like earlier than that. There were a decline on the minutes. Like, it's not declination when Khalil asked me to join the associate group. It's because, like, I'm talking to him about the schedule. Maybe I'll be in meetings from next semester. Just really didn't like the word decline.
Okay.
I didn't decline
Yeah,
technically, so.
Alright. So are you still in contact with them just on scheduling issues?
Yeah, I told him, like, I'll be attending, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
so
from next
we'll
semester.
revisit
Yep.
it after. Alright, cool. Okay, so any further issues with meeting minutes? Bobby comes in at 9:00. And then, so do we want a motion to, does anybody want to make a motion to approve these with the condition of that change, or do we want to just wait until the next meeting if we can approve it next meeting?
So we just approve it next meeting.
Exactly.
Or if you move
That
tables,
was a motion, but.
yeah, move tables and
Thanks.
vote.
Thanks, Paul.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Very good.
I thought you mentioned.
We have a motion.
I motion to table the meeting minute note.
But, yeah.
Okay, motion fails, so we're just gonna move on and we will revisit it next.
I motion to approve. then
You want to approve them
next
now or
condition-
later? is
Right
what-
now.
Okay,
I
make the
motion to
motion
approve them.
No, but it has to be
the
changed
meeting
first.
minutes With that
Second.
condition,
that they're changed.
right now.
Second.
Okay, motion has been properly made by Paul and seconded by Jeff to approve last week's meeting minutes under the condition that the convention is changed. Is there any other readiness before the vote? Seeing none, barring any for a simple majority vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Moving on. Today's special procedures, there are none. Voting on previously presented legislation, there is none. Hearing presentation of bills and our student relations staff has something to say.
Yes, we haven't selected a date for the all hands meeting yet. If we can do that today or by the end of the week on Discord, I think next week is probably gonna be one of our only options. So if we have a free time next week that works for all of us, I think we should try to make that happen. I don't know if you guys want to do that tonight or over Discord.
Okay. Would you like to attempt right now?
Okay. What day would work for everybody?
Thursdays at 9.
So we have Thursdays at 9 is the first option. You can't do that.
So,
That's now, Travis. We can all do
yeah.
that.
So,
Oh, so Thursday at 9 next week, because I did not plan on having a Senate meeting next week. Of course, we have to go over that when it's in the agenda, but that was my intentions. So this could take place in that time slot. Does that seem to work for everybody right now? And then we can revisit it when we go down to.
Could we do it
next Senate meeting.
any earlier than 9?
8:30.
Can anybody do 8:30 Thursdays? Can anybody do 8 Thursday? You can or can't? You can. Can't? Okay, so everyone who can't do 8 on Thursday.
I might be like 10 minutes late, but
Okay, all right. Anybody else have any issues with 8 on Thursday? All right.
8 o'clock?
8, yeah, let's go for
Okay,
8 Thursday.
I'm
If you could put that in the minutes, just so we're, sorry.
with exams and everything. I think I have an exam. So I have an exam on Wednesday. So I think maybe back. But I'll figure it out.
Okay, all right. So is that all?
No, there was mention last meeting about a meeting on decorum. Do you know?
That's happening tonight.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Moving on to scheduled speakers. Phoenix Cultural Cuisine, are you here?
Travis. We have an LED meeting at 8 on Thursday.
We'll deal with that.
Okay. Yeah, we can cancel that. I don't care. It's fine.
Do you guys have the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, let me make
You want me to
sure.
bring it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It's in the
it's
folder.
there.
Yeah, I'm just in the wrong folder.
Third one.
Thank you. This is it. PCs.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, who would like to come up?
Hopefully it looks good.
Load for a second.
Well, while it's loading, we'll just introduce ourselves. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Here it might be.
So we are Phoenix Cultural Cuisine. I'm Megan. I'm the president. Our vice president, Brandon, can't be here today. But we have our other members.
I'm Kyle, I'm the treasurer. And I'm Jake, I'm the secretary.
Yep. So I was
That's us.
introducing us. So what is Phoenix Cultural Cuisine? So what we're envisioning is it's going to be a club that is going to expose students of the university to different cultures that they might not have heard of before through food and recipes from all around the world. We're planning on having food seminars, cooking demonstrations, and informational presentations. And we wish to encourage students to try new food, develop better cooking skills, and learn to become global citizens. So we're planning on having about 3 different kinds of meetings. One's kind of a facts versus fiction. So in that one, we pass out an Americanized version of the dish. I know one of my favorite Italian foods is fettuccine alfredo, but that's more of actually an American Italian food. And they don't have that in Italy, even though it's really good. They have a different kind of version over there that's done with Parmesan and pepper. So we pass out the Americanized version of the dish, explain culture of the dish and kind of the origin of it, and then we introduce them to the authentic version of that dish. Another kind of meeting that we would have is a cooking meeting, and we would have kind of an interactive cooking demo. One idea that I had in mind was kind of a candy sushi thing. So we'd learn how to make sushi, but with Rice Krispie treats and fruit roll-ups and stuff, and that's always really fun. And then another kind of meeting that we'll have is kind of an around the world meeting. So one of the first meetings that we're planning right now is cookies around the world. So we'll pass out a few different samples of different kinds of cookies from around the world for everyone to try. And we'll explain the culture behind them and why they taste that way and where they're from. And one very important thing at the end of every meeting is we want to pass out a recipe card. So every student not only learns something new, but also gets to take that back with them, and maybe they want to look into more recipes like that. So we were told to come up with 3 club benchmarks. I think these are very attainable in the near future. It might take a little bit for us to develop that. The first one is to expose 100 students at Florida Polytechnic University to a new cuisine or foods from a foreign culture. So we hope to have 100 individual, unique students come to our meetings. I know that might not happen in the first or second semester, but it's definitely an eventual goal that we'll get to. Our second benchmark is going to be to volunteer and assist 100 members of the community through food. So not only do we want to expose students to food, we also want to help the community through food. So we're planning on having a volunteer event. We're not sure on the exact type, but it'd be like a food bank, or maybe going to a homeless shelter and cooking a meal, something along the lines of that. And then the third benchmark that we have is to have 50 active members that are continuously bettering themselves by exploring new cultures and volunteering to make the community better through food. So I know 50 active members at the school might seem like a little much right now, but that's definitely an eventual benchmark that we hope to achieve. Is there any questions? Yes.
Have we sorted out all the safety issues with this?
We have we have a food safety plan in place, and whether someone's cooking the food or is having someone cater it through donations, say like an Olive Garden or something, we have a checklist, and they have to read the food safety guidelines through the government, and they have to check off that they've done the stuff and that it all applies to it.
For the Safe Serve certification,
There are members of the
Yes.
board that have the Safe certification for management, and I can help train for food safety.
Cool. That's fine with me.
Yes.
First of all, I absolutely love this and definitely want
Thank
to
you.
join. But how are you? I wasn't like the schedule for your meetings, but definitely, are you planning to handle cleaning up, or is it going to be a community thing, or one of the organizers?
We haven't really gone over that logistics yet. Right now, I think we're planning for the organizers of the meeting to be the ones to bring the food. Eventually in the future, if there's students who say, hey, I really want to share like my culture.
I was thinking more like
Or-
after, like cleaning
Oh,
up.
cleaning up after?
Yeah, or to make sure everything.
Definitely like a group member from the group effort from all the members.
Or-
Definitely the leaders of the organization will make sure all the tables get put back in place and all the trash is put in the right spot. But a group effort.
where do
Yes.
you plan to hold your meetings?
In a room at the school. Just so it's the most accessible place to all the students. Any other questions?
Not particularly a question. I don't know if now's the best time to say this. I will address it afterwards or not. But first of all, you're an excellent presenter.
Thank
so
you.
I'll compliment you on that. Second, as far as your benchmarks go, the SOC defines benchmarks as something that you need to meet in order to keep being a club at
Okay.
Florida Poly. So benchmarks are not something like these are great goals to have, but they shouldn't be your official benchmark.
Okay.
You want to pick something that is achievable throughout the semester so that you make sure you continue being in the club.
Okay, so they're kind of more the things to make sure you hit every semester.
It's what we use as a part of the SOC to make sure you are being active on campus.
Okay, we'll be sure to fix those and make sure they're approved.
Those are great benchmarks.
Yeah.
They're good goals to have,
Mhm.
Good call.
but like on a per semester basis, maybe expose 25 students
Okay.
each semester, something like that.
Smaller numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
So I would say the hardest was that third.
Yeah.
I think the other two could be, but play it safe, but the third one would be hard.
Okay.
I definitely think this could be huge as well. Like, it could really blow up and do something really great.
Yes.
It's not a question, but like, thank you for a beautiful presentation. Last week, or maybe a month ago, I read a news where it said like a kid died because of malnutrition in Lakeland. And more than 30% of the kids do not get enough food every day here in Polk County. I'm so impressed with that third benchmark, like exploring new cultures and make community better through food. Can't wait to test the food and see what you do in the community.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Anything else?
We should talk after. I have an initiative with the homeless and food and stuff.
Okay, awesome. I'll definitely catch up with that.
Are you aware, speaking of like food banks and stuff like that, we do have a food bank here at school.
Yes.
That is normally during Thanksgiving time it's brought up and promoted because there are students that cannot go home for Thanksgiving. Are you looking to expand that?
I think that's definitely something we could look
Promoting
into, and I think promoting it would be a really great club to help promote it, kind of since we're like a food club. And I know there are a lot of students who are in need of it and maybe don't even know it exists, so definitely would like to promote that more.
So that could be an excellent benchmark.
Oh, thank you for that suggestion. All right, if there's nothing else, I'd like to thank you all for inviting us to come share our club with you today, and we look forward to helping you guys and serving you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would entertain a motion to approve.
I motion to approve the Phoenix Cultural Cuisine Club.
Second.
Motion is probably made by Ryan and seconded by
Travis.
to approve Phoenix Cultural Cuisine Club as the 39th,
40th. 41st. What is happening?
41st RSO. Is there any readiness before the vote?
Do we want to change that under the condition that they change the benchmarks?
Yeah.
Okay. That would be a good suggestion. Would the person who made the motion like to amend their motion?
Yes, I would like to amend my motion that we should approve them under the condition they make their benchmarks more attainable per semester.
Okay, motion is probably made by Ryan and seconded by Paul to approve Phoenix Cultural Cuisine as the 41st RSO. Is there any readiness before the vote? Seeing none, barring any opposed, simple majority vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations.
Congrats.
I'll just get a picture. You just take a picture? Okay, if you guys can just like stand in front of
Photoshop Philly maybe.
Should we go instead of the TV one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You the first person to say that, and that was really an idea.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Khalil can go right there, right between.
Yeah, Khalil can block the.
So we can just Photoshop Khalil.
You can Photoshop it be small, like under the TV.
On top of the TV. It's like sitting on her shoulder.
Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, Travis on SGO. Okay, so I am talking about the SGO. So,
I wanted you to get on top of it, like on the desk.
So, as you know, there's an SGA desk in ISD South, and we're here representing students. So the LEB has been talking about ways that the Senate could better represent students and make ourselves more accessible to the student body. So next semester, we would like every senator to choose at least an hour from their month to go and sit at that desk. And there will be a sign that we will write saying what your position is, and just kind of saying, hey, ask me questions or something. So what I would like to ask each of you to do is there is a link to a Google form to schedule a time to have the SGA desk. Please go through your calendars once you have all your classes picked out, so between now and the 1st of January, and schedule a time to be there, an hour out of every month for the next semester. So you can sit there and have students come and talk to you, and that way you can make yourselves more available to the student body. Does that make sense to everybody? to make sure that that's,
Point of
yes.
information. What's the time frame? Like 8 to 5, 9 to 5?
Yes, yes, so, yes, please keep it between 8 and 5. Great question. So yes, between 8 and 5, just kind of normal business hours. There's one thing too the LEB is looking into is we do want to kind of move into the goal of having like office hours or some type of something where students can actually know, hey, they're going to be there at this time. I can go and get, you know, my voice heard. So we want to start kind of getting into that habit. So please, if you can, between now and January 1st, go in there and schedule that. And once you do, send an email to myself or Ryan with the time that you got for the next, I think that's 4 months in that semester, for those 4 months.
I'll take care of it. Send it to R. Anderson.
Okay, yes, please send it to her. All right.
When's that due?
January 1st, between now and January 1st. Just go on there and schedule your time and then just email me.
So we're gonna start sending the decks from January 8th?
Yes, yes. Yep, so the month of January would be 1 month, pick an hour in that, and then every month from there. Just starting January.
The LEB doesn't have its own email, right? Like the SSU doesn't have it.
Any other?
So it would be single senator at a time?
Yes, yep. One at a time. We're going to kind of keep it simple so that way it's very personal. Yes.
A member of the executive board has graciously donated some candy for like, yesterday we were doing the vote for the posters upstairs. We had lollipops, dum-dums to hand out, you know, so people come.
Yes, and that's a great great point too. We did also talk about doing like a kind of Senate town hall thing where we would like get some donuts or something or some type of food that we can purchase with Senate initiatives and have students come, and then every senator can kind of give like 2-minute to 5-minute spiel about what they do and, you know, get people to interact with them, and then kind of have like a social session afterwards, also including food, so that way we get people.
But when we have the desk hours, we'll have candy to pass out.
Little thing to give out, so it's great. That's cool.
Another thing that's kind of related to this, I was going to come to the LEB to bring this up, but it's also something you should know as well. I was hoping that we can maybe match some of the senators to the clubs or the RSOs that their major has an interest base tied to. So you could sort of break it up and have more of a personal connection to your constituents, and also have a little more of a connection of how we divide things up and have a little bit of organization, but maybe to like mechanical engineering with Astro, things like that.
Yeah, we definitely do want to kind of take the people you're supposed to be representing to the people that you're sitting for here on Senate and kind of getting more involved with that group of students, and that is a great way to do it. So we will be looking into all of that kind of stuff for next semester, so just so y'all kind of know, and this is going to be our first start. So. Okay? All right, thank you guys. Okay, moving on, issues to resolve, there are none.
I make a motion. We previously distributed money for the clubs that were shorted from the previous semester, but we need to vote on actually.
You can do the ABC.
Yeah.
That's where we're going down.
Introduce new legislation. There is none. Legislative committee status report. ABC, do you have that?
Yes, so we've had 2 meetings since the most recent general meeting for Senate. In that first meeting, as Austin brought up, the money we moved from reserves to out of the reserves, and then which we then partitioned and moved back into the RSO's budget, needs to be approved. So I will recommend a motion for this.
I make a motion that we approve the transfer of money into the RSO's budget.
Second move.
Motion
Make a motion, we open it to.
Motion has been properly made by Austin and seconded by Ryan to approve the line item changes to the budgets for these RSOs. Is there any readiness before the vote? If you'd like to open it to the gallery. Is there any objection to opening it up to the gallery? Seeing none?
Do you have any comments, concerns, figures?
I do have the documents if y'all would like to see them.
What?
You were just asking me.
No, that's when you said.
Oh, no, I'm saying I have these 2 documents here for the budgets. If
Yes. I would like to specify what the dollar amounts are.
Okay.
Media Club,
is getting $2,527. ASME is getting $7,524.
Yes, that's what I have.
Thank you.
Any questions while the gallery is open? Cool.
All right, thank you. Closing into the gallery. Is there any further readiness before the vote? Seeing none, barring any for a supermajority vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries. Is there anything else, Lisa?
I want to talk a little bit about our meeting we had on Tuesday, which we did in preparation for the all-hands meeting for Wednesday. It was a very productive meeting. We were able to set actual dates for audits and for budgets. Those dates are, just so everyone's aware in case you get asked, the submission for audits will be Tuesday, the 16th of January, 2018 at 11:59. And then budgets will be due February 11, 2018, just so it's out there. We also made some progress in making a rough outline of things we will be looking for in audits. Over winter break, I'm going to talk more about it at the ABC meeting, which is scheduled for Wednesday at 9 and 10:47, to work on some legislation or compose some documents from all this information that's currently scattered and it has been pieced together from the past few years from other universities and really doesn't have a lot to do with Florida Poly. And I would like to tailor something more towards not just our government, but also to our students. And I recommend all the clubs, or excuse me, all of the committees and Senate in general over winter break to really do some research and try to compose some solid documents to help not just your committees, but your constituents. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, ABC. SOC, anything?
Yes. We've met once since the last general meeting. We had the training meeting on Tuesday. We had 30 RSOs signed in out of 40. We went over how to use presents. We're trying to get all the clubs who still need access to presents access. We have a form made through presents for RSO applications. So you can apply to be an RSO through filling out the form on presents. We are currently working on a new form for club storage, a more updated one than the one from last year. And as far as the club storage key, Jared, do you have the key?
There's multiple copies.
There's multiple copies. Okay, Khalil would like to have a copy.
The way that works is the keys stay in the office, and you can check them out to unlock the thing, and then they get returned.
Where do we check them out?
In the SJ office, there's a form you sign.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you. And not SOC related, but for CAB, specifically Florida Polycon. They're asking for more SGA participation during that event, more involvement. So we either come up with an idea or an event, such as like a panel at the convention or something else. It's like having presence at the convention and helping out.
I'm going to be there connected with the art department.
Say again?
I'm going to be at Polycon connected with the art department.
We need more in an official capacity. I'm helping with a different department, an actual SGA event.
Yeah.
Do we have a date for that?
April
7th.
7th?
It'll be a Saturday.
I have a question. Can you send the link to where the clubs that signed in? If you could post that in Discord in the Senate stuff, because we're going to need that for the ABC.
Okay. So put in the ABC chat?
If you could actually, can you put that in general files for Senate? Because that list isn't done yet, since there's still, we have to add to it. And I don't want my students using that to contact people and it's not complete yet, so that would be.
Well, I'm just saying, we need a list of who showed up and who doesn't.
Because he has to get in contact with.
Yeah, because if you didn't show up, then you're inactive, or you're on probation.
And do you see the Excel spreadsheet that it formulates?
So do I put a copy of it in the, which folder you want me to put it in?
General
It's general
files.
files, okay, just making sure.
Because I believe the ICC is also going to need that. I have some stuff to send out to the club leadership as well. So it should
Maybe something fun we could do as a possible event for Polycon, maybe like do like a Senate meeting in style of like Knights of the Round Table, like cosplay style Senate meeting.
Let's all dress up.
Is there anything else from the SOC?
That's it, thank you. Yeah.
Question. The 40 number is all clubs, not just active clubs?
No, just the number 40 is the approved RSOs that we have.
So that's inactive and active.
And how many clubs are inactive?
2, 3, 10.
10.
Well, at the moment, 10.
30 to 40 showed up, so the 10 that didn't show up are inactive.
Well, they're on probation, not inactive.
Probation.
So I guess my question is, before this meeting, do we have 10 on record that were inactive?
I had 6.
So there are 4 that should have showed up and didn't.
Yes, correct.
Do you know which clubs those are?
We do have a list.
Yeah, I have a list,
Yeah,
but I don't know
usually
which
open it to the
specifically.
gallery.
Is there any objections? No. All right, go.
I just wanted to throw this out there. ACM was not able to attend the meeting because they're currently going through the election process and they don't have officers right now. They did email, their faculty advisor did email me and explain the situation. So.
All right, if you could forward that email to me, please, just so take it in as well. Thank you.
And Crystal.
I just want clarification on something before we get too far.
Sure.
The audits, what was the date, the due date?
The audit?
January 18th, was it?
16th. It's going to be Tuesday the 16th of January.
And then the budgets were?
February 11th. No,
thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the gallery? Thank you. All right, bringing it back in. Anything else from the SOC? No? All right, thank you. All right, moving on to the Elections Committee. Congratulations, there was nothing like that.
The ICC.
Hi ICC. Moving on to the ICC. Does the ICC have anything?
Yeah. So I'm here representing the ICC today because Cassandra couldn't be here. We have a PowerPoint on taking meeting minutes.
Oh boy.
Let's see it. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I am presenting.
Whoa. Teach Bobby, take notes.
I'm going to teach this. This is for Paul. Anyone taking minutes?
Take notes.
Take notes.
Travis, you take notes
Khalil's
too,
not
right?
here.
Everyone should take minutes. All right, guys, like minutes. Okay. So, everyone has meeting minutes. All right.
What are those?
Okay. So meeting minutes is basically, when you go to the meeting, it's a basic list of what was talked about in the meeting. So anyone looking at the list is, caught up and knows what happened. Cool. So it doesn't have to be too detailed, but it should be comprehensive enough that anyone could find out what was talked about. Main points. I'm gonna try to get through this quick. So you need names of people proposing an action. So anyone that says, I make a motion to, you have their name, what they're motioning, and then an opinion or option, whatever. Whether it is approved, defeated, or withdrawn. So I make a motion to this, and then if it was approved, what assignments were made, so what does that actually entail, the actual motion itself. Word for word, any motions or resolutions, amendments, decisions, or conclusions. General matters, so like nothing like opening up to the gallery or anything, but anything that you may deem important. And a summary discussion, so like a quick list, like a sentence or two. And then also, other than the name of the person who proposed it, the motion, what it does, you also have to have the person that seconded the motion. Jared.
There's a couple things missing off that have to be taken as well.
Okay.
When you vote, if someone votes against it, you have to write down their name.
Okay.
So that way, because they can change their vote later on.
We don't have to right now. I think they can change their vote later on, but we're not required to. But I would suggest that it should be something.
And the other thing is you have to write down the roll call.
So then, yeah, and then they read it.
So you know who's
That's
there.
general matters. You got it.
All right, so making note of concerns or accomplishments, writing as they happen. So move from one issue to another, or if somebody shows up late, you can still participate in debates. So if you're taking notes, you still should be active in the actual meeting itself, if you're supposed to be in the first place. Jot down quick notes, and then make the final file, make it look pretty, or pretty enough that somebody can understand it. Yeah.
Just a quick question. So in the case of Paul taking notes, if I know that's not so information, but if he did not, make out your repetition of the motion to copy it word for word, what is the procedure for him to interject, or is there, or does he have to just wait until some time when the gallery is open?
Would me just asking for clarification be the proper way to do it? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Like what you just did.
Yeah.
You can do a point of information,
Okay.
or point of record.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to interrupt and ask for clarification. There we go. That's all information. Post links to meeting minutes on the Discord or let a chairperson know. So don't just make them and hide away somewhere deep in Discord or deep in the drive that no one can find. So make sure someone other than you has access to it and knows it's there. Yeah. Minutes are very important. They may be referred to for years to come and can be used in a legal matter. It's pretty straightforward. So there you go. Meeting minutes.
Thank you.
Does the ICC have anything else?
Website, that's grammar fixes.
Doesn't have 2 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah,
Before we get to the meeting.
So we did go over the website again, fixing grammar stuff.
Someone's supposedly getting with Chris Worthen for business card pricing.
Yes.
Oh, Cassandra is.
And we're gonna check with Rico to see how much they cost
For wait, what?
for business cards.
Oh, also I'm waiting. I have to schedule time to meet with Khalil to work on the designs. Definitely open that up for feedback, and maybe I can show some designs here. Yeah.
Anything else? All right, thanks ICC. Now, Elections Committee. Congratulations, Legislative Executive Board.
We have not had a meeting since the last time we all met. Our next meeting, which is now in jeopardy, but was to go over the website, give it a final look through, fill it up with information, and hopefully publish it as soon as possible. Other than that, I haven't made any more decisions to anger anybody, so it's pretty good. I would like to say, regarding last time with my decision, don't spread false information. Just in general, be careful what you say, where you say it.
Stay away from social media.
Yeah. If you need to say something, ask somebody else first to make sure that you're saying the correct thing. Thank you.
Will you fill me the floor?
Yeah, I'm done.
When you're done talking, I yield the remainder. I yield the floor to.
I didn't hear what he asked, but yes, I yield the floor.
All right, so I will use this time to talk about something that is near and dear, I guess, every city president's heart, and that is decorum.
Before you go on, can you do the safety committee since he's here?
Okay.
Well, this is part of LED.
No, we'll just go down. Can someone make a motion?
I motion the table to decorum.
I second that motion.
Wait until.
No, permanently.
Until safety committee presents.
All right, motion is propagated by Bobby and seconded by Jared to table the rest of the legislative executive board until safety committee presents. Is there any readiness before the vote? Seeing none, bargaining for a simple majority vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right, safety committee.
I have no update. I'm just here to collect any information you guys have to throw at me. You guys are coming with me. So.
Does anybody know where Fletcher went? Because Fletcher was.
He already talked to me.
Okay. About the flashing light.
Yeah.
As always.
I do have a question concerning safety. A lot of the floor holes,
yeah,
don't work, and one of them zaps somebody.
I tripped on that one.
What was it that something?
I don't know, I just heard somebody talking about it in the hallway, but that's not safe as far as I'm concerned.
The other thing is, the last couple of nights, half the building's light fixtures don't work and half the other ones do.
Yeah.
If you could reach out to facilities, just like email them.
Okay.
The facilities at Fort Poly.
Yeah, I can do that.
They do work.
It never hurts for them to be bombarded by facilities tickets.
Yeah.
Because then there's a record of people noticing issues. And if you notice anything like broken floor boxes.
Like literally 90% of them in the building don't work.
There's more to this, but they did work before the hurricane. There was flooding inside this building.
Well, yeah, that's why they don't work.
It never got addressed after the flooding.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll bring it up.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for safety? Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Going back to legislative executive. So, that means that was
actually
the police. The nannies have arrived, everyone.
I love it. It's just not bad.
Bear with me for a second while I remember what page it was on.
But he's
Control.
What are you looking for, bud?
The core. I am like.
Can you control F? Control F, my God. STEM score.
Oh, it just told me. Found it. There we go. Okay. Thank you. All right. So the quorum. All right. So basically, if you were at the retreat, you are aware that we talked about the quorum. Actually, it was Tanya, I believe, was the person who talked to us about the quorum. So I'm just here to kind of refresh us up on it and to talk about it from our actual Senate handbook perspective. She talked about it from a general perspective of just how an organization should function. So I'll be doing both from the Senate handbook and then from a general perspective of how an organization should function. So the first thing I just want to talk about is character. It's important that because we're SGA officials, we're public service, we've been elected to these positions, that we remain professional and respect anybody who comes up to present. So it's important to kind of think about this area, and it's kind of shaped like one, like a paint in basketball. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's the box right by the hoop. They're the most important player in the game when they're standing up here, so it's important to treat them that way and to make sure that your attention is to them and it's not diverted. And also when they are speaking, remember that they do have the floor. And even though we are all senators, we all do have the right to speak in the Senate session. We have the right to speak at appropriate times. So it's important to make sure that you raise your hand and that you're acknowledged upon by either the Speaker or the Senate President to make sure that we keep order in the meetings, and that way, nobody gets offended or nobody's talked over. So that's one thing that's very important. And that's primarily with presentations. That's a really big one. We have a lot of presentations that happen here in the Senate. A lot of different people can come through. It's Tanya, students, police officers at some point. It's important that we show them the same respect that we would like if we were up here presenting. And it's also important to kind of keep in the back of your mind when someone's presenting. If you have a question that is something that is completely specific to that point that was just made, it is okay to raise your hand and ask and wait for them to call on you. But if it is something that can wait until after, it was advised to jot it down and then have that so you can ask them after, because 90% of people do ask their questions at the beginning. And a lot of people lose train of thought, and it could be considered disrespectful for some people. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Is there any questions on that specifically? All right, so this one is also very important. So this is respect and manners. It kind of falls in line with the other one. The biggest one that we're going to come across is when people are presenting, making sure that they feel respected and that they feel like they are in a non-hostile environment. That's a really big one. However, there is also respect amongst peers. So it is important to remember that we are all here part of the legislative body, and we're all on the same team working towards the same goal, which is bettering the university. So it's important that we all respect each other, and that goes along when other people are here presenting from Senate It's important to respect them when they are up here. They are the main player. Again, they have the floor. It's important that you make sure you're acknowledged before you speak out. And also, I know a lot of people kind of get this one a little confused. Point of informations are the same way. So yes, you can put your finger up, and if you just need that answered, you can say point of information, but please make sure that they look at you and acknowledge first. Don't just out, because that can be considered disrespectful. Not everybody understands the concept of point of information, and that it is something that is in the now. You just need that clarification immediately. I know we all know what it means, but there are people who come here and, you know, that's just seen as you interrupt into them. So it's important to kind of see that two-sided that way. And then manners. So guys, we're here in session. It's important that, as I said, you're attentive, but that also goes with making sure that you're not talking to other people. I understand there will be questions that come up, and it can be clarified by another senator, and that's okay. Please try your best to make that something that doesn't happen. Write it down, talk to them about it after, or during the question and answer part, when they're kind of having a conversation with someone else, maybe then you can slip the question to the person next to you, or write it down and talk about it later and just ask them a general question. And then secondly, try not to leave. So I understand everybody has to use the bathroom and stuff. No, you do not need to raise your hand or make it known. If you have to, absolutely, please go out. Please use the back door, not the side door, as that is more distracting. So please always use the back door, but try to stay up here at the desk and, you know, facing the appropriate direction and involved in the session, and try not to leave. That's important. Any questions on that? Also, be careful with your tone. That's very, very important. Tone is pretty much like 70 to 80% of the conversation, and how you can ask a question can come across as you already expecting an answer. You already have a perceived notation of what you want, or you're kind of biased towards something. So by me asking a question of somebody like, why do you need to have all of that money? That instantly comes off as, I don't like what you're showing me, what's going on, and the person can feel like they're being attacked and leave you on the defensive. Instead, if you're asking a question, be like, can you explain better why you're requesting this many funds, or something of that nature. And just remember that their feelings are involved in this as well, just as if you were a peer as well. They're going to be the same way. No one up here should ever feel like they're on the defensive. They just feel like they're reiterating what they need, and you're helping them get that, okay, within reason, of course. So that's all for respective manners. Clothing. So this one has been an issue for every session, so don't fret. But basically, closed-toed shoes are a must. Good job. So closed-toed shoes are important. That's professional. Just try to keep it that way. Heels, decorated flats, that's nice. It looks good. That is preferred. I will not require that. That is preferred. But please, no open-toed shoes. Skirts of appropriate length. If you do want to wear a skirt, please, appropriate length. You guys are all adults, you can figure that one out. Long pleated or flat press pants. So with that one, just no sweatpants. That's primarily what that one's going to be. No sweatpants. Blue jeans are dissuaded, but they are acceptable. But please try and wear khakis or slacks of some sort. If you do not have any, I will get you some. So please try your best to come with something that is not denim. That would be appreciated. A belt. Belts are important. Not requiring you to tuck in your shirt, but a belt's important. Where you need the pants on your waist below. So please make sure that a belt is a part of your attire. Again, that is a preferred thing. Polo shirt. So for everyone out there, polo shirt or button-up shirts are preferred again. That one's actually required. We should be wearing polo shirts in here. People who come up here and present to us are going to dress up because they are presenting. However, they should not be presenting to people who look like they should be on the beach. That is not acceptable. We're a professional organization. We should be mimicking what we expect to see in front of us, if that makes sense. So please make sure that you come in something that is business casual and professional, something that you can wear to work. So that goes with shirts, or button-ups, or polos. Blouses. And then, as you can see, we have preferred clothing down there. If you want to go with that, that's kind of set the bar, but knock yourself out of the park. Also, this is just something everyone always says whenever they have conversations like this, and doesn't really apply here, but I like it anyway. Always dress for the position that you want, or dress to impress. That's a good standard to just set. So if you're here, dress like you want to be the best person in the room. Don't come here all tuxed out, but dress, to impress. Dress for the position that you want. Any questions on that? Yes.
Should our clothing be clean?
Yes, that is the next yes. So hygiene. Should your clothing be clean? Yes, guys. If you're coming here, please wear clean clothing. Bleach stains, still clean, but let's try to wear clothing that's acceptable, well kept, clean. All of those things are important. Works on your image and the image of this legislative body as a whole. So that's important. Same with personal body hygiene. I've never had since I've been here, seen problems with that one, but it's important. We're here, as you can see, sometimes for long periods of time, and that can make these meetings all the longer if there are issues. If you have personal problems or anything, feel free to send an email, just say that you're not going to be able to make that meeting. We'll work with you on that, it's fine. Nobody has to get in details or embarrassed, but we do want to be mindful of everybody that's here, being that this is a public meeting, and then you also have people you work with. Just like a business, you have coworkers, and you want to be respectful of their space, just like you want them to be respectful of yours. And that does go down to body odor and stuff like that. So I think that was good. We're pretty good on that. Any questions on any of that stuff? Yes.
The typo. Heels is H-E-E-L-S, not H-E-A-L-S.
Oh, you don't call them. Any other questions?
Question. How do we go about updating that?
Okay, so yeah, that's actually a good question. So the Senate handbook can be updated by any member of the Senate. Basically, bring it to the Senate floor that you'd like to update it. You can go on and make your revisions on a separate document outside of this, not this document at all. Type up what you see that you would like to change. You can bring it directly to the Senate floor, and you can propose a change. And what will happen at that point is it has to go to the LEB for us to look at it, make sure that it is legally written correctly, and then it comes back here, and then you can vote on it and approve it, or make a change to it. And then once it's voted by a supermajority vote of the Senate, it will then be put into the Senate handbook. Does that make sense for everybody? Yes.
Yeah, is that for any change whatsoever?
Any change whatsoever.
Even like a grammatical change like
Any change whatsoever has to go through that process, yes.
Give the LEB something to do, it's fine.
I'm not sure you have to give it to the LEB too.
Yes, it does have to be. And the LEB in that situation, yes, it is in there. I'm not going to pull it up now, but we can do that after. In there, it is in there, and that is strictly for making sure that it is formatted correctly and that the wording of it is legalese. That is what that is written in there for. Any change to any official document, technically even nominations, are supposed to go to the LEB first to review them, and then it comes to the Senate for the final approval. That is for everything. However, we haven't been doing it exactly that way. But for changes to documents, we will be. I saw your hand.
Yeah, for like minor amendments, doesn't it come from a committee, come from the senator, or from anybody? You don't need like a committee to like say you want a small amendment, and for example.
Yeah, no, for
it could be any individual.
Yes, for Senate handbook, any individual can propose a change, and then you can actually, you don't even have to propose a change in a Senate meeting. You can take it directly to an LEB. Your changes, we'll look at it, say it's good, and then you can present it on the Senate floor for the change. Anything like that does have to go through 2 sittings to be approved, and it is a supermajority vote. Any other questions?
I'd like to make a suggestion. It seems like a lot for just one letter. Maybe we keep a Google Doc of just all the grammatical changes we need to keep that going throughout the semester, and at the end of the semester we just handle all the grammatical changes, all the typos that need to adjust.
Yeah. It is the end of the semester.
But yes, that's a good point. And that does bring us around to, there is a writing committee that can be stand up if it's needed for stuff like that. You just basically you would come together. By the way, if you are going to suggest a change to any document of the Senate, you cannot do it with anyone else unless it is a sunshine meeting. So that means publicly public notice for that. That is required. So you cannot work on a change to a document, get suggestions from anybody that you're going to present to the Senate unless you're doing it in a public meeting. And that goes back to the concept of the writing committee. That is what that's for. So if you want to make a change collectively, you can schedule a time on 25 Live as a writing committee, and then you can go and have that meeting, make your changes, discuss it all, and then again, bring that to LED and go through the formal process. Does that make sense for everybody? Yes.
This should be, any change to bring up should be on the agenda at the same 7 days.
Correct, yes. It doesn't have to be on the agenda 7 days in advance, though. The meeting has to be, meetings have to be announced, yeah. But 24 hours before the meeting should be on the agenda, correct? Yes.
Do we have a date for the shirts? SGA shirts?
Oh, yeah, next meeting, we're gonna start, yes, that's a good question. For decorum stuff, next meeting, now that we're all
I think it's talking about the polo shirts.
Oh, you're talking about for when our shirts are coming?
Yeah.
Oh, I do not have that information right now, actually. I'll get with our lovely member of the executive board and find that out.
Which one?
Guys. Any other questions on that? Cool. Okay, so now with that done, we're gonna go to the general decorum stuff. This is just based on suggestions, even stuff that was said tonight, and also suggestions from administration. It's important that we all remember that we're here together to work as a team, and it's important that we respect each other and even opinions that each other has, because we're all here to represent the people that elected us into these positions, and that means that inherently, because this is a legislative body, we're going to have different opinions, and that is the purpose. However, because you have a different opinion does not mean that you can be rude or, make that opinion feel like it's not valid. So keep that in the back of your mind whenever anything's happening. Feel free to express your thoughts and get your point across, but do not make someone else's opinion feel like it's not important or valid because they were elected to be here. So that means their opinion is important or valid. So that's important as well. Also, social media, guys. Social media is a great tool. It's a great tool for you to use to communicate with your friends and make posts and smile and show all the cool things you do in your life. However, if you're talking about business of the Senate, it's important that you do a little bit of discretion when you make posts and stuff. I would ask personally, this is a request, this is not law, that if you're gonna make a post, post it in Discord first to the Senate chat, what you're going to say, and that way we can give you feedback on what you should say. And that way we can kind of make sure that your information that is in the post is fully accurate if you are going to make a post. I would suggest that you not handle it that way. There are other ways to make sure that the student body is aware of what's going on. But I would ask that if you are going to do that, that we all make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on and make sure that the information is as accurate, as close to accurate as possible. Yes.
Just make sure it's nothing we're going to vote on.
Yes, that's true. So and if
none of us can respond to it.
Yeah, if you post something in there that literally has specific voting requirements, you cannot respond to it. But still post it in there so we can all see that that's what's coming. So that way, if it is something, we can tell you like, oh no, that was not actually the outcome of the vote, or this is what actually happened. We can actually make sure that everything's kept up to date. Yes.
Could we potentially make it a policy that the ICC must approve any post?
Yes, that can be made an actual policy since you are all technically workers of SGA, and in your official capacity you can't make posts. However, that's something that would have to be again proposed to the ICC. They would have to write up that legislation. That would be a change to the Senate handbook. So it would be that process. Yes.
That's not possible for something like that because there's a document that says you can say anything you want.
Oh, as an official, you have to.
No, even as an official. We have officials in Washington post whatever they say.
Yes, but you can require that someone say this is not an official. You can't.
We can vote voluntarily give up a portion of our rights.
Yes, you can if you're part of an organization. And you basically all this would entail is that there will be on it. This is not part of my official duties, or this is not as an official of the school, or whatever the case is. If that is desired and that is passed, that can be done. Since you're all technically employees. So, any other questions on any of that stuff? So,
quick thing. Yes. I just posted on Facebook, beginning of the meeting, just a reminder that we are in IST 1065.
Okay. Yes. And I mean, of course, guys, this isn't, but this is just so you have more awareness of what's going on, and that way you can handle things a little bit better. And that is a goal of mine and a lot of different people in SGA, just for us to continuously improve SGA and make sure that people are trained and know things and just kind of keep up to date on what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So that's all this is. And I would also just like to stress that, again, we are all an organization, this branch, executive branch, and judicial branch, we should all be working together. So make sure, whenever you have an issue or something, think of it that way. This is a discussion, not an argument. And you can make your point, but don't be assertive. You don't have to destroy them. You don't have to be over them or anything. This is a conversation, not an argument, because we are all working towards the same goal overall, and that's just the betterment of Fort College. Yes?
Can you clarify like exactly what type of material should not be posted on social media? And I asked that with the context of Austin, the post before this, I think, is completely acceptable to post, information about the meeting where it is.
Would you mind if I use your post as an example?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, you're referring to the meeting time or the one before?
No, meeting time. The meeting time.
That's fine.
Meeting time and location.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just strictly talking about, like, for instance, you're going to be using the one before. So, for instance, with the one before about the live streaming, I understand that the goal of it was to make the student body aware of what the outcome was of that vote. However, there was verbiage that probably could have been added in there to inform the students that we're not canceling live streaming. We're just not officially supporting it. So different things like that, that would have been a suggestion that would have been given. Proofreading. Just to add into that. So that way all of the questions that did come would have been answered immediately ahead of time versus later on. So stuff like that is what I'm referencing. For public service work, like, guys, just so you know, in case you don't, the meeting is here. That's important, and feel free to do something like that.
And the purpose of the previous post as well was just to inform.
Yeah, and I know his intentions on that was just to inform people, and like he said, just so you are aware, he said what happened. That's A-okay, but just so that way we all know, and this is why I'm discussing it now. I believe you had a question?
It goes with the post. Sometimes we hear ideas, we hear some very radical ideas or policies that the school or staff want to present or make, and if we post them on the Facebook page, sometimes they can be taken out of context or not fact-checked. So they can blow up to be bigger things than they actually are.
And also with that too, and this is something that I forgot about and it's really important, we're here to do better things. So if you have an idea, take time to formulate your idea. Include other people on it. If it's something you can talk about outside of the meeting, talk about it. If it's something you can't, bring it to the appropriate committee so that way it can be discussed upon, and that way we can build up that idea and make it strong before we actually present it to a full, because it tends to happen that if ideas get presented to large numbers of people, especially in a setting like this, it can become difficult to accurately say what it is your idea was, and it can be changed, if that makes sense. So it's important that if you have an idea and you think that that's going to be a strong idea and something that can really benefit, that you build that idea so that way when you present it, it's strong and sturdy, and everybody can kind of understand where you're coming from. Yes.
Expanding on what you said, where something as small as that, or in general, just some misinformation can blow way out of proportion. I had the executive branch come up to me and ask me what, in their words, what the hell was going on with the Senate over one little Facebook post.
Yes,
be very careful what you put, not just you, Austin, just in general.
Yes.
Any little bit of misinformation sends this student body into a frenzy.
Yes.
It's madness out there.
Yes, and that's just primarily why we'd like to stay away from social media. And also, commenting on posts, please stay away from that. You don't need to engage. Anything that happens on social media can be handled in this public meeting and addressed in this public meeting, and then we can put out a formal response through the SGA page. That is the appropriate way to handle things like that. So if you do come across something, and it doesn't have to be a post from another senator, if you want to respond to it, jot a note or something, say, hey guys, we need to address this, and we can deal with it that way. That is the
or simply
way.
Say, please visit the Senate.
Yes, or that.
I did that 3 times.
Yes, so that's also.
You also need to practice how to interact with people that's not going to escalate the conflict. That's not, you just have to be like kill them with kindness sometimes. Sometimes people are just going to keep going to get something. You have to be very precise, and you also have to read the situation a little better and not sort of, like, almost say, continue it more than it needs to be continued.
And with that, an important thing that I actually heard from the university comptroller and I really liked is when he was talking to us, he was saying that he is the person who's logistics of the money for the university and that we are his customers. So he is catering to us and trying to make sure that we have everything we need. It's important that we remember that the students are theoretically our customers. Right. They're the people that we're catering to. So it's important to see them that way. So when you are dealing with someone in person, whether it be online or whatever, remember again, be respectful because their voice is just as important as what you have to say as well. So that's also very important. Thank you.
But yeah, I am happy to put out fires. That's kind of my job, but don't get other people involved with that.
Don't start fires.
Like the executive board or executive branch should not have to be worried about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Yes.
Can I ask a quick question about the quorum? So like within Senate meetings, how can we differentiate between comments and questions? So we shouldn't interrupt with a question unless it's very pertinent to that information. So I believe the current way is to raise your hand until the end, and then the person has the floor calls on you. At that point, should the person with the floor ask if it's a question or a comment, and how do you prefer to handle that?
So you're saying
sometimes we think it is a question, and it is a comment that not necessarily. It can be decided if the comment should be made. Does the person go ahead and make a comment, or should they give some context?
Point of information. For that, you can interrupt a presenter at any time with a point of information. They have to stop and acknowledge you. That's how Robert's rules work. I suggest if you have comments to listen to the presentation and then write them down and then ask them at the end. Because that way, regardless if it's a question or comment, it's still pertinent and it might be answered in the next slide.
Yeah, and I do think so. If I understand correctly, I do think it is best to try and wait at the end. But if you do have even something that you don't know whether it's a comment or a question, but it's important, you can point of information in. Just do remember if you do that point of information, give just a little bit of a pause so they can acclimate to the fact that you are now interrupting. Because again, they won't know that that is, the standard here. So it's important not to just point information in, single. So, but yes, if I understand correctly, just if you have, a question that you do feel is something important now, but you're not sure if it's a question or a comment or something to correct that they said, if you feel like you do need to, you can point of information that. Does that answer that?
Yeah, so a point of information should only be used for a question on the topic.
You can also be informing someone of something. So you can make a comment with a point of information. So if I'm standing up here and Josh is in our session, I say something like, we are approving $2,000 to go to what? And that is completely wrong. It's really $6,000. You can't point of information. It's actually $6,000. If it is, dire and you feel it is important for that.
Would that? I thought that would be a point of order.
No, point of information.
Okay,
point of order would be if you had a point of information and you started talking about your shoe color. He could point of order you because that's not the topic of the discussion.
Also, just good rule of thumb, think about what you would want said to you if you were standing up there. I mean, that's a good rule of thumb, knowing whether it's a good thing to interrupt with. If you can tell that they are nervous, maybe just try to read a little bit better and just think about how you would feel if that was at you.
All right, guys. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to talk to me or email me and discuss that. I have to sign that. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Love you.
Sustainability Committee.
Yes. Yes, Sustainability Committee. And actually, I do have something I want to say about that. For anybody in here, just so you know, they ask, you can be aware. If there's a committee, an executive committee, sustainability committee, whatever the committee, and they're looking for funding, the appropriate way for them to get funding for that is they can come to any of the 3 branches pitch their idea in the branch's meeting, and the branch can fund them with initiatives. So just keep that in mind. If you get asked, that's how it happens. The RSO line item can't fund them, so just keep that in mind. Any questions on that?
Inside the Senate, we can push those to the ABC.
Yeah, also, yeah, if you do get that, you can tell them if they do want to present it to the legislative committee and want to use legislative initiatives, they can go to the ABC's chair and present that to them, formulate that in the ABC, bring it to the Senate, so we can approve that purchase or funding. So you're in first.
I do. It's sort of related to the quorum, sort of related to just Senate in general. If I have a question about something that is not on the agenda, how do I ask it? Or when is the appropriate time to ask that question?
You can say it in public comment if it's very far off. If it's close to the topic matter, just ask it. And if it's something that is far off, someone will point over to you. Okay. We'll continue on. Any other questions?
For that, do they have to come here first and then we defer them to the ABC, or can they go straight to the ABC?
They can go straight to the ABC, yes. That was just simply if they ask, so that way you all know and you can give them the process. But like talk to a senator, take it to the ABC, present it to them, they'll bring it here and we'll get it done.
Anytime any money is spent inside the Senate, it has to go to the ABC first.
Any other questions? Okay, determine next Senate meeting. So we just gave away our 7th Thursday, January.
Yeah, why didn't you want to have a meeting next Thursday? You said that was like a personal decision or a personal recommendation?
Oh yeah, just because we're all coming up on finals. So those are supposed to be reading days technically. They're not anymore, but they were, and typically we try to have Senate meetings on reading days. So that is why I personally wasn't planning on having one. Does anybody see the dire need to have one for the rest of the semester? I do not. I know the SOC is tapered right now. They don't really have anything coming up that needs to be done. Does the ABC have anything?
Yes.
Yes.
I would recommend the SOC to have a meeting as well. Oh, I like to have an LEB meeting.
Okay.
And then an ABC and SOC.
Yeah, the committees can still have a meeting just for Senate General Assembly.
I think we should, like what Austin was just saying, set a time and just to have it.
Okay. All right, so
we are required to have one twice a month.
Okay, I think we've put, January. Okay, so let's schedule one. We gave away our Thursday, so.
We can do Thursday at 9 still, because that's a.
I don't know how long do you, can motions open it to the,
I motion to open.
All right, open it to the audience. How long do you think? Do you have an idea?
I'm not sure. Maybe
Hour max.
the all hands.
No.
I don't know.
Well, let's do this. Thank you. All right, so going into the gallery, let's do this. So let's just go on and schedule it for 9 next Thursday. Assuming that the all hands meeting is only an hour long.
Point of information. Yes. Why is it 9 and not 8:30?
Because there's an all hands meeting starting at 8. Remember, we just started. So there will be an all hands meeting at 8, a Senate meeting following that at 9.
This is just an emergency if we need to have a meeting, right?
We're gonna go, since we all need to be at the all hands, we will have a Senate meeting. I expect nothing to be on the agenda, but we will have a Senate meeting, go through it, end it. I expect nothing, but we'll have a meeting since we're gonna be here anyway. Questions? Yes.
There's an all hands meeting? I think you said LED earlier.
No, all hands. LED was there, but we're gonna figure that out.
There was an all hands, and then there was all hands as well. What is the all hands about?
All hands is SGA all hands.
No, what is it about?
It's about hands.
It's gonna, I assume it's gonna be for informational sake across all 3 branches, just to get us excited for that. Did you still have a question? Okay. Any other questions?
Should we prepare, should we reach out to the executive and judicial to know what we should bring to this all hands meeting? Because it seems like I don't know what direction we're going with this.
Yeah, I think if every committee, well, the other committee chairs aren't here, but I do think it would be beneficial for the vice chairs of the committees that aren't here and stuff, and as a representative, to maybe contact our chief of staff here and just kind of ask what it is that they would expect us to bring. But what I will tell you is it should be what you do in here. So a committee update. tapered down, not as, doesn't need to be as detailed, but just what are some things that we've done, and then what are some things that we're going to do. So if you want to have some stuff like that prepared, that would be good. I wouldn't expect your presentations to be anything longer than 5 minutes, so that'll already be 15 minutes of their time with all 3 committees, so, or technically 4, so 20 minutes. Yes.
Will Khalil and Cassandra be back for the
Yes.
all hands? Okay.
All right, anything else? All right, so are we in agreement for Thursday, the 7th of December at 9?
Yes.
Any objections?
In the regular room?
I'm sorry?
And then in the normal room?
If it's available, it should be, yes. All right.
That'll be on
Is that
Live.
recorded on the date?
Yes.
Okay. All right, closing that. So moving on to public comment, 2 minutes. Anything, public comment for 2 minutes?
As a part of the ABC, Josh is a non-voting member.
Correct.
Can members of the executive board be non-voting members of the Senate so that they don't have to open it up to public comment every time they want to talk?
I will have to take that question. However, I'll give you my opinion. No. I'm pretty sure that's very close to the exclusivity of positions of seats. I have to read in depth, but I'm pretty sure that's not allowed. But regardless, I would try my best to block that. I don't think that would be a good idea.
They can ask questions during public comment. They can raise their hand. We can open it to the gallery.
Sure.
Paul does have the power in the Constitution to be an unscheduled speaker at the beginning of the meeting. So if he has anything to say, that's his time to talk, or the public comment.
Yeah.
And anybody can point of information, right?
No, they cannot point
it's just-
information into the session unless
We open it.
yeah, exactly.
Unless
It's open to the gallery.
But unless it's Paul can, for meeting minutes purposes, interrupt to ask.
Yes, technically Paul is part of, he's,
Right,
so
okay,
yeah, so you can do that, so point of information. So, anything else?
As long as it
That's fine.
as long as it pertains to meeting minutes, is if he wants to talk about rainbows and unicorns, that's at the unscheduled speaker part.
Or public, you can also speak in public as well. That's great.
For the committee chairs, basically what you had said is pretty much what we're going to expect, just updates as to what you've done, what you plan on doing. That's the gist of it. You said it pretty much.
Right.
Sure, I'll
Thank you.
What information?
Yes.
Are we allowed to open it not to the gallery, but to a specific person in the gallery?
No. The speaker can request to talk to someone out in the gallery, and then it can be open to the gallery, and that one person can speak. The speaker requests it, but when we open it to the gallery, at that point, they can speak. But we can't close it to the gallery at any point in time. So if you want to open it to the gallery, get their part, and then if the Senate wants to close it to the gallery immediately, that can't happen. That is the only method of doing that.
Point of,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah, point of information. What are the rules for like closing the gallery? Just one senator has to motion that, or?
Yeah, just, it's called.
It might be a motion and
What
second.
do I call that? A motion, and then I can either close it, or then we can do motion and second, and it can be closed. Yes.
This might be an inappropriate question to ask in the meeting. You can shut my question down if you'd like to.
Just
answer
wait.
after the
Let's
meeting.
just ask.
Just wait
I
until
can.
after the meeting.
But it might be a question that everyone else has as well. But I can ask you after. That's fine.
I would.
No, go ahead.
I would like to share a concern that one of the students have regarding the wellness, the food, and that it's a student from Pakistan, so he thinks that the food is not diverse enough, so that's why he didn't have a meal plan, and that student would like me to share that information with you to see what if we have any say in that.
I think they just put up the meal plan policy for review, so I definitely do tell them to send an email to them, making sure that there is clear clarification that for religious or personal background beliefs you can get an exemption, make sure that's all outlined in there.
That's not always followed though, because I know people have put in legitimate like religious stuff and they like turned it down.
And also with that, I would suggest emailing them, but also if you don't mind, if you could put that on, I guess that would be Thursday's agenda if you would like to, and then we can talk about it in depth and get an official, action or response to it. but thank you for bringing that up. Any other public comment running out?
I just want to add on whatever Jeff said. One of my friends told me like he lives on campus and he has a meal plan. He told me that like the quality of the food here is not good. He thinks
This is not new news.
he thinks like it's stale most of the time he eats.
Can I just say from personal experience being at 3 other college universities, this is 10 times better than what you'd see at any other school, like by far, like leaps and bounds better. Here, yeah, it's amazing compared to anywhere other school.
It depends on day to day. If there's an important event like tomorrow, there's probably going to be foundation meeting that they could make their way over and eat in the cafeteria. The food's going to be better. That's just reality of food service, unfortunately.
So we're going to go on a point of order this and close public comment well over the 2-minute mark. I'm sorry, no, it's just 2 minutes. That's all we're getting for.
Is anyone in the gallery who hasn't talked or because it's all been senators?
It's been totally open, but we are going to close and move on. Is there a motion to end the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion has been probably made by Ryan and seconded by Jeff to end the meeting. Is there any in readiness? Can I get a closing roll call, please?
Yep. Logan?
Here.
Travis?
Here.
Khalil? Paul?
Here.
Bobby? Here. Crystal?
Here.
Jared?
Here.
Sandra? Austin?
Here.
Luke?
Here.
Ryan?
Here.
Jeff?
Here.
Anita?
Here.
Cool.
Therefore?
Yep.
All right, meeting adjourned at 10:21 p.m. Thank you guys.
Dave,